My name is Barton Brooks.
Hi, I'm Greg Goodbrode.
I'm Carla Brooks.
This week, to celebrate Mother's Day, people wanted to tell the story of a son, his mother, his partner, and the epic 3-month adventure that they all took together.
We recently just got back from taking my mom on a little bit of a European tour. My mom has an adventurous heart, and she hadn't been out traveling for a long time.
Carla had been her husband's caregiver for 20 years. When her husband passed away, her son Barton wanted to take her on a trip to regain her sense of adventure and to heal.
We're in Venice.
We are.
Greg and I decided to take my mom on 20 adventures for 20 years that she gave my father.
Years ago, Carl Brooks had a stroke and required 24-hour care. His wife, Carla, then became his full-time caregiver.
Every morning I know what I have to do, get him up and get him showered and get him dressed and get him breakfast, and it became really hard. But I just had to, because he was always so glad that I was with him.
Carla took care of her husband every single day until he passed away on October 31st, 2015.
She was so bound to him and his care that she just couldn't. She was paralyzed. And that broke my heart because she was stuck as a caregiver who had lost her meaning. Her meaning was my dad.
It's going to be 20 years since my own mother passed away. I'm growing closer and closer to her. She's becoming like my mother, too.
We decided to get her back out and moving a little bit, living a little bit. So Europe was the place.
Barton knew that Europe would be the best place for Carla to heal her broken heart because she'd done that in Europe once before.
I had just finished college and broke an engagement, and I thought, I'm getting out of town. He had gone on a mission, and so he was gone for 2.5 years, and I waited for him for 2.5 years. So then when he came home, we got engaged in October, and we were supposed to get married in June. Well, I found out he was going with his other girlfriend. And so I went to his house, and I said, can I ask you this? And he said, yes, I can't tell which one I want to go with. And I said, you just decided. And I handed him the rings and drove off. He got married on our wedding day that we had set for ourselves with all the reservations.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I had taken all the money for my wedding and decided I would go on the trip. I was gone for all summer.
As Barton and Greg were putting together their plan to take Carla on this spectacular adventure vacation, they stumbled over a collection of her old photographs.
We decided to recreate some of those pictures, so that was some of the decision on where we would go. We would go to where she took those pictures and try to recreate them years later.
When people first learned of Barton and Greg's plan, we knew we had to be a part of it.
We flew her here to New York from Utah, and she thought she was just going on a trip to Paris, but we surprised her.
Fortunately, we captured the moment she found out on camera.
Do you see Paris as an adventure?
A real adventure.
Yeah. Do you see Barcelona as an adventure?
Yes. Barcelona.
But what about Rome?
I guess I'd have to see it as an adventure.
Munich?
Yes.
London?
Bart.
We're going to take you on 20 adventures, one for each year that you gave Dad.
Oh my God.
So Barton, Carla, and Greg were traveling through Europe and having the time of their lives.
We started in Paris, we went to Switzerland, and then we went to London.
And Rome, and Budapest.
Prague. And Wales.
And Vienna, and Neuschwanstein. Wait, you said that. Say Neuschwanstein.
Neuschwanstein.
Yes, you still can't say it.
We're at the Einstein Castle
Now, where are we again?
in Schweinstein.
I love it. That makes me laugh every time.
Schwein. No, that's not right.
We yodeled in Switzerland.
We yodeled in Switzerland.
Oh, ole, 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 day.
Their first stop was Paris, and that's where she ended up getting yet another huge surprise. Disneyland is Carla's favorite place in the whole wide world.
Okay, you can look up if you want to.
To you?
No, just anywhere.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yeah!
Disneyland in where? In Paris.
In Paris, the Euro Disney.
It's the Euro Disney.
Oh, I don't think so.
One of the really special aspects of this whole project for us was that we had asked our readers to make suggestions as to where Barton and Carla and Greg could go. Places they could see, things they could do, food they could try. It ended up really personalizing the whole experience for them and for our readers.
We were invited in London by a couple, Max and Abigail, and they do all of this homemade crafts. They do wood carving. They dye fabric with wood and earth, and it's really this fantastic old stuff. They invited us into their home to actually learn some of the things that they do, and actually taught Mom how to carve some spoons.
Your wood's softer than mine.
Do you want to swap?
And in Rome, Julia and Pino, they're both chefs. They invited us to their house to make some homemade pasta and learn how to make homemade pasta and sauce right there in Italy, in Rome. It was wonderful.
They even got recognized by people readers. They were in Prague and they were walking across this beautiful bridge in the city.
And all of a sudden we hear our names kind of tentatively shouted across the Charles Bridge, and it was these two who had seen our story on People and recognized us in Prague.
They stopped Greg and they said, are you? And then Mom turned around and she had this big fur hood. She's like, turned around. And they're like, that's her.
They talked and they connected, and it turns out that they're still friends to this day. They've stayed in touch ever since.
My favorite part was a suggestion was from Kay to tell us to go on Jungfrau. That's the train that takes you up in the top of the mountains, clear up the Alps. And it was so exciting, a little scary because it was high.
It was pretty high.
Of course, what would a trip to Europe be without sampling all kinds of delicious food?
Oh, that's good.
One of the things that I became addicted to over the fall was the Spätzle in Vienna, and well, actually everywhere. Prague was the best. And they had sauerkraut and the dumplings.
The gelato was great. I loved the gelato.
We were in Florence, and she was obsessed with getting gelato like every time we could.
Gelato!
Ham was always roasting everywhere. It's so good. He would eat it, and she would stay warm next to it. One of my favorite places that we went was Budapest. The city itself is amazing, and that's when Christmas season kind of started. One thing about when we travel specifically for Christmas markets because these two love a Christmas market. Once the Christmas market started, I was out the window. Nice to see you all. I'm sure they're going to be in charge for the rest of the time. Like, it was like, okay, Barton, you're done. We're going. And they would just leave and go to every stall.
Well, when we first met, we kind of bonded over how much we both appreciate the holiday.
That's right.
And the decorations and the music. So it's become a tradition where we carol and sing carols at the piano every year. And we got to do that at the Christmas markets this year.
We did. That was fun.
And there were these warm baths.
It had probably been 10 years since I'd been swimming.
Oh, hey there.
I was just free to just do the strokes that I'd already done for my life, you know, the backstroke and the side stroke. It was just freedom for me.
She loves to swim, so that was actually probably one of my favorite memories. We wanted to take her on the trip to help her feel like she was living again. We wanted to get her out and get her adventurous. But we also needed to honor why we were taking her. We were taking her because she just lost her husband. November 7th is the anniversary of my father's birthday and the day that we buried him. So for that day, we had to do something special, and we took her to Wales. My dad's great-grandfather was the lighthouse keeper at the Point of Ayr. It's Talcor, Wales, and my dad had been there and he loved it.
I'd always written cards to him, and I just thought, I have to send him a card.
We laid flowers at the base of the lighthouse. and let the sea come in and take them out, then this would be the absolute perfect place to spend this day. We took this trip to kind of help my mom live again, but you can't just put the past behind as well.
There were a couple moments that were a little harder. You know, my mom, like I said, she'd passed 20 years ago, and I was there with Barton and his mother. And I wondered sometimes, walking around, what she would have liked to see, what foods would she like to try. And I had to find a way to honor her. Went to a lot of cathedrals, lit a lot of candles. And I know I speak for a lot of people who probably see this story who don't have this opportunity. And you know, it's wonderful to see Barton taking that opportunity and doing this while he has the time.
One of the main goals of this trip was to try to get a little bit of life back into her, to where she could see the adventures that could lay ahead. Not just necessarily what her life was in the past, but there was still a lot of living left to do. You know, she was very hesitant to actually live or to move forward.
These days, she thinks of all the good times. She's no longer as consumed by the sorrow and the sadness of losing him.
I don't really cry so much because of his death, you know, and everything. I'm doing the little things, just thinking of the little things that we had when we were together. And some of the things that he would say, and oh yeah, Dad said that, or Dad said this.
It's a whole new Carla. She's come back to life. She was a lively, lovely woman back in the day, and she's come back to that now.
Welcome back, Mama.
Okay, thanks. Glad to be here. I want to go on another adventure. Maybe we'll go to Spain or something, you know, someplace different.
We miss Spain. So that's what she said as she wants for her 80th birthday. We're keeping the adventures going.